Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear student. My name is Dr. Muhammad Adnan Asghar, and today the topic of our discussion is applications of thermal analysis in the preparation of catalysts and catalysis. This is under the subject of thermal analysis. So, first of all, we need to discuss the introduction of the topic. So, catalysis is one of the few journal fields of science that has had a great impact on modern chemical technology. In general, all commercial catalysts do not consist of homogeneous surfaces, either chemically in the strict sense of extremely high purity or geometrically in the crystallographic sense. Since catalytic processes necessarily involve adsorption of molecules on the topmost layer, the characterization of this surface region is essential for achieving the predictive power needed to design new catalysts. Catalysis and chemical engineering have made great strides in elucidating the fundamental steps involved in catalytic reactions. As is well known, a catalytic reaction at a solid surface implies the following elementary steps. Number one is the transport of reactants to the desired surface sites. Number two is the adsorption of reactants onto these sites. Number three is the reaction to form the desired product either directly or through some intermediates. And number four is the desorption of the products, while the last one is transport of the products from the surface of gas stream. Optimum performance of a given catalyst depend on a precise knowledge of each of these five individual steps. Modern microgravimetric techniques working with sensitivity in order to 10 per minus 6 to 10 per minus 7 gram permit the thermodynamics, kinetics, equilibrium, and mechanisms involved in each step to be evaluated. This lecture deals mainly with the use of one of the oldest measuring tools, that is the electronic microbalance with all its refinement, to study and evaluate the chemical processes taking place in bulk and surface of heterogeneous catalyst. Examples are reported to elucidate the chemical processes involved during the genesis of the catalytic material. The solid catalysts are usually contained in a chemical reactor in a rigid array such that the maximum amount of the catalyst is available for reaction mixture and is not entertained in products. To this end, the catalyst is prepared either as bulk material or dispersed on the substrate as in the form of pellets, extruders, honeycombs, wall supported membranes, and other geometrical configurations depending on various reactor engineering factors, which may be the temperature, which may be the space velocity of the gas feed, and sometimes pressure, and there are many others. involved in this specific process. Thermal analysis are often used as a tool for investigating changes of surface and bulk reactivity of these geometries towards the environment. As a result of variations in composition, preparation method, and pre-treatment. Many scientists were the first to derive the activation energies of heterogeneous reactions from thermoanalytical data. An extensive review relating the use of thermoanalytical methods for the study of the kinetics of heterogeneous reactions have been studied by Sestek in Australia and another on the temperature programmed methods in heterogeneous catalysis. For the sake of simplicity, this lecture is divided into four main sections. For example, number one is thermogravimetry, TG. It includes the precursor transformations, studies of dehydration or dehydroxylation, study of porous structures of catalyst by means of water and n-hexane adsorption, and number two is the thermogravimetry in reactive environments including temperature programmed reduction TRP, reduction oxidation cycles, determination of stoichiometry of oxides, kinetics of reduction, measurements of active area and phase dispersion, and sometimes cooking reactions. These are all included in the thermogravimetric in reactive environments. The third one is the identification of surface sites by temperature programmed desorption, TDP. TDP of absorbed probe molecules and evolved gas analysis, EGA. And the last one is the information available in support of TG measurements through the use of other thermoanalytical techniques such as diffraction thermal analysis DTA or diffraction scanning calorimetry, which is DSC. So the first is the thermogravimetry. First was the introduction of the title, and now it is the thermogravimetry. Thermogravimetry, the basic principle, the equipment used in, and the variety of techniques possible in thermogravimetry. It is also referred as thermogravimetric analysis, TGA. We have discussed a lot about TGA in our previous lectures where we studied the working of TGA, the instrumentations, the principles, and some possible applications of thermogravimetric analysis. In this section, emphasis will be placed on precursor transformations, studies of dehydration, determination of porous structure of catalyst by adsorption measurements, and studies of adsorption-desorption properties of gases frequently used in heterogeneous catalytic processes. So the first one is transformation of catalyst precursors. This is the example of transformation of catalyst precursor and named silica supported vanadium catalyst. The formation of vanadium oxide on a silica support can easily be monitored by thermogravimetry of the corresponding vanadium precursors, as shown in this figure 1b. The TG curve of the vanadilyl acetate silica impregnant precursor. For comparison, for this precursor, the initial 3.54% mass loss that occurs between the room temperature and 403 Kelvin is due to molecular water represent as crystallization of water in that complex. True vanadilyl oxalate decomposition takes place at temperatures between 523 and 623 Kelvin. In this region, DTA curves shows two main peaks, exotherms, at 563 and 593 Kelvin respectively. The first stage amounts to almost 47% and can be attributed to this reaction. Here we can see that H2VOC2O4 twice is converted into vanadium carbonate, water and carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, for which the theoretical mass loss is 48%. The second stage results in the formation of V2O4. V2O4 water was only detected in the outlet of thermoanalyzer in the first step of the thermal decomposition. It has shown that the decomposition of ammonium dioxovanadium 5-dioxalate occurs in two steps. The first is accompanied by an endothermic effect at 487 Kelvin to give ammonium oxovanadium 4-trioxalate, and second by an exothermic effect of 585 Kelvin in which V2O4 is formed. After thermal treatment up to 873 Kelvin, the massive complex exhibited a dark color, which becomes yellow upon reoxidation with water-free oxygen at 553 Kelvin. The slight increase of mass in this process might be due to the reoxidation, which is change into V2O5 of V2O4 and some suboxides such as V6O13 and V5O11. This hypothesis is strengthened by a mass loss of V2O5 at temperatures higher than 493 Kelvin. A similar behavior has been observed when a very small mass loss at temperatures higher than 583 Kelvin for completely reoxidized vanadium on zirconium oxide. The catalyst precursor shows a similar behavior, although the mass loss percentage are markedly lower. The interesting point to consider here is a very large derivative Tg peaks that appears at temperature slightly above 473 Kelvin for spotted vanadilyl complex. This may be explained by the heterogeneity of spot on the anchored complex that should be in a very high degree of dispersion on the surface. So the next is the mixed oxide catalyst. Mixed oxide catalyst, in mixed oxide catalyst Tg and derivatives of Tg. Derivatives of Tg means there should be DTA. Analysis have been used to reveal the chemical steps involved in the genesis of molybdenum praseodymium bismuth oxide catalyst, MOPRBIO catalyst. The preparation of these mixed oxides basically involved aqueous solution of nitric acid at the pH of 2 of NH4 6MO7 O24 with 4 water of crystallization, praseodymium nitrate PrNO3 thrice with 5 water of crystallization, and bismuth nitrate with 5 water of crystallization salts, followed by the evaporation at 333 Kelvin with continuous stirring till dryness. The solid precursors so obtained were heated in an oven at about 380 Kelvin for at least 12 hours, and TG analysis was then performed. The TG and DT curves of precursor of a molybdenum praseodymium bismuth oxide MOBRBIO sample with a ratio of bismuth molybdenum is equal to 0.125, and it is shown in this figure. 3 decomposition steps at 400 to 500 Kelvin, 500 to 530 Kelvin, and above 530 Kelvin were detected. It is clearly observed in this picture. These correspond to the decomposition of 3 compounds present in the precursors, although separate TG analysis can also be seen for ammonium molybdate and praseodymium nitrate. It is not possible to identify unequally each decomposition step without a more detailed study of these material. In all cases, a constant mass were observed at about 823 Kelvin. Therefore, a sample preparation and precursors underwent a final heat treatment in a forced airflow for 16 hours at about 823 Kelvin. The reagent concentration were conveniently chosen to yield a constant praseodymium molybdenum atomic ratio, and this is all about the MOBRBI oxygen catalyst. So the next is potassium doped calcium oxide catalyst. Calcium oxide is very sensitive to ambient atmosphere. Ambient atmosphere means the room temperature, pressure, humidity, and light, etc., included in the ambient atmosphere, which makes the composition of its surface strongly dependent on the history of the sample, as demonstrated by the microgravimetric experiments. Mass losses of the catalyst upon heating at a constant rate of 4 Kelvin per minute in an oxygen stream are compiled in this figure. These TG curves shows 2 well-defined mass loss steps, one between 593 and 673 Kelvin, and the other between 723 and 973 Kelvin, which can be reasonably ascribed to the thermal decomposition of calcium hydroxide CaOH twice and calcium carbonate CaCO3 respectively. On the basis of overall mass loss, quantitative calculations reveal that beside calcium hydroxide and carbonate, a fraction of calcium was present initially as calcium oxide. Accordingly, it must be noted that the extent of these phenomena could well hide any possible mass loss related to the presence of alkali metal. For a given catalyst composition, The ratio of the extent of these two steps depends strongly on the history of the catalyst sample. From figure 3a, the Tg curves of 1.8% potassium calcium oxide catalyst subject to different pre-treatments can be compared. Curve A in this figure was obtained when the dried catalyst precursors was calcinated inside the microbalance in a carbon dioxide free oxygen stream, and it may be protected from the atmosphere because we already take this in oxygen free atmosphere. As it can be seen, the catalyst samples become partially hydroxylated and carbonated even during the preparation and drying steps. On prolonged storage of the calcined samples in air, the high temperature mass loss clearly increased, while heat of the first step decreased slightly. Curves B and C. Actually the it was also observed that the change in carrier atmosphere did not modify the extent of the steps. In figure B compares the Tg curves of calcium and potassium oxide catalyst with different K constant contents when subject to similar pretreatments. The total mass loss was similar for all samples, irrespective of K content. The more pronounced difference found in the rate of mass loss for the second step. For example, the slope at inflection point of the high temperature mass loss found to decrease, and when the K content increased. Also, the mass loss for 16.16% potassium over calcium oxide catalyst samples was much slower, since a stable mass was only attained near prolonged isothermal treatment at maximum temperature. These results indicate that even during the preparation of catalyst precursors at room temperature, part of the surface was carbonated by atmospheric carbon dioxide. Moreover, Tg experiments in a carbon dioxide free gaseous stream indicate that our standard procedure to initiate the catalytic runs permit the catalyst surface to regenerate, thus avoiding the possible influence of the history of the sample on its catalytic performance. The modification of chemical nature of the catalyst during the initial step of the reaction appears to be related to the carbonation of the catalytic surface, which involves mainly calcium oxide. It is worth noting that alkali metal carbonates are more stable than the calcium. Furthermore, the amount of alkali in the samples could not account for the magnitude of the mass change observed in microgravimetric analysis. Thus, one would expect that same phenomena should take place in initial steps of the catalytic run over every sample, regardless of its alkali content. Therefore, an initial carbonation of the catalyst during the run should take place in every case, although this has only been observed in samples with high alkali loading. In fact, When alkali content increase, a longer period is required to complete the processes in order to observe it from the analysis of the reaction products. So after the calcium potassium doped calcium oxide catalyst, now we would like to talk about the magnesium nickel oxide catalyst. The magnesium nickel mixed oxide catalyst is quite active and stable for the oxidative coupling of methane. In oxidative coupling of methane, methane is oxidized and we will get C2H6 and C2H4 with water vapors. The catalyst Ni01 magnesium 09O has been prepared by the following thermal decomposition of carbonate precursor, which is Mg. Here we can see Mg5 CO3 4 OH twice and 4 water molecule method at a heating rate of 4 Kelvin per minute from room temperature to up to 1073 Kelvin. The precursor decomposition monitored by thermogravimetry shows distinct steps. Here in this picture 4 we can see the distinct steps up to 420 Kelvin. The desorption of a large amount of adsorbed, coordinated and lattice water occurs. So most of the water has been lost between 423 to 493 Kelvin, which results in a breakdown of structure to yield an amorphous carbonate. So above between 420 to 523 Kelvin, the sample losses 25% of the total mass loss. Finally, here in picture we can clearly see from about 620 to 1023 Kelvin, the carbonate structure decomposes and magnesium nickel oxides was obtained. From the TG profiles together with powder XRD single crystal and sometimes single crystal diffraction analysis and FTIR experiments, it is concluded that the precursor prepared was a carbonate hydroxide of magnesium and nickel with a reasonable dispersion of both metals. This was all about the magnesium nickel oxide.